8 Principle in Teaching Reading by Brown and Lee. So here is from the integrated course. It is actually include a focus on reading skill until overreading and non-relevant, and then the last in about the design pre-reading, while reading, and also post-reading, and how actually we can try to use our assessment into our own technique of teaching reading. And then actually I would like to know what is actually a discussion text. Discussion text is an argumentative genre that requires the writer to adopt a position, and for it by debating two or more sides of an issue. Actually, it is from the two sides, yeah, and then the first one is supporting, and the second one is opposing. And then we go to gamified learning. Why gamified learning is really important in this era? Because actually, Turaisu said that adding game-like elements to teaching and learning, it will make students more interested and involved in the learning in learning a language. Like we know that actually learning a reading text is really boring, and then students have only to do the to read the whole text, and then after that they have to answer the question, and then that's really boring for them. So that's why by adding this gamified learning, hopefully student will have more motivation, and then will be more engaged to the learning process. Like also it is emphasized by Topir Siano in 2017. He also emphasizes how gaming features can be used to get students more interested in the language learning. Okay, and then what is Kahoot actually? Kahoot is invented in 2013. Well, it became a global educational brand, and then Kahoot platform contains quizzes. So this is not like the quizzes platform, but Kahoot also has its own quizzes, discussion, and surveys using gamification mechanic. So the Kahoot in the language classroom here, actually Kahoot is a game-based response system in a classroom that is played by the class. Here, user can learn, can play, and also socialize, because it will be in a group game. Not this is not only individual game, but also can be a group game, and then it will make the active learning process. So the research also shown that students' engagement and collaboration can be increased when Kahoot is used in the classroom. And then for Kahoot for teaching reading, actually the most interesting icon is a quiz. So it allows the users to design tests using Kahoot to make the learning engaging and not tedious. And then actually this might overcome the flaws of traditional media that usually teachers only use like a textbook for the reading, and also sometimes using PowerPoint presentation. And then by using Kahoot, we can implement this Kahoot into the teaching reading. And then here, actually, this is the previous research. There are 3 previous research that I have take, yeah. And then for the similarities, usually we have class action research, and the subject are the senior high school students, yeah. And the differences, some of them are usually in higher education, and also the study of Kotima and Rafi uses the experimental study. And then this is the conceptual framework. Actually, the contributing factors is the conventional teaching method, numerous tedious reading assignment, and also students' lower engagement that can make students lose scores, especially on discussion tests. So here, I try to finding strategy to solve the problem by applying Kahoot game-based as a learning media. So the mediating factors is the increasing engagement and also enhancing motivation. And then here I use CAR by planning, acting, observing, and reflecting into cycles. And also the last, the result is students' reading comprehension enhanced. Okay. Yeah, so the action hypothesis is actually hopefully, so by implementing Kahoot, it will enhance students' reading comprehension, particularly in the grade 12 F1 students at SMA 1 Cilacap. So chapter 3 is the research method. So here I use the research design here. I use chemist and McTaggart model because I would like to use this two cycles for this research. And actually, this research employ classroom action research to identify and accumulate information regarding the advantages of enhancement of employing web-based Kahoot. So here the approach involves the systematic development, implementation, evaluation, and also the contemplation or reflection of strategies to enhance students' achievement. And then the time of the research will be from August 2025 until November 2025. The setting is in SMA 1 Cilacap in my school, and then the subjectnya the students of grade 12 F1 because they has the the lowest scores in reading assignment among the other classes. And then the research procedure is using the planning of the action. This is started from how I choose the topic of discussion text, making lesson plan, also design step in doing the action, and also by implementing is the how I can implement the Kahoot into the reading comprehension classroom activity. And then the action and observation is while I'm teaching discussion text, I will observe the class and then I will ask the staff of administration staff to record my class so that the class will be originally can be observed by me because I'm also the one who I'm also the researcher, and the last is by reflecting the action. So I reflect what is good and then what is disadvantages on or what is the benefit of using Kahoot. And then I use the data analysis by miles, started from data collection, data condensation, data display, and then the last is for the conclusion or draw or verifying my analysis. And then the last, the data collection technique, I use observation, interview, questionnaire, and document review. And then the criteria of success, hopefully students can achieve the research objective indicators, such as comprehend the main ideas and detailed information of complex written text. And also, hopefully, it can enhance the scores. Yeah, hopefully it will be 80. So that's all. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mbak Nika, for the presentation. And now we move to the peer review section. Mbak Nika's thesis proposal is reviewed by Mbak Ilma. Mbak Ilma, time is yours.
3 minutes maximally. Thank you, Mas Chris, for the time. Okay, let me share the screen first. Okay. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mbak Nikan for having this part. You finally done your thesis proposals. Here are some of the corrections or improvements for your thesis proposals. For the first one is in the title part. I think that the title is too long since you also input the types of the text in the title. I think you don't need to put that because you already mentioned it in the method sections. And then for the technical things, like you use the different fonts, like in the first one you use Thames New Roman, and then this one is Calibri or something like that. And next one is yeah, for the reference here, you should refers to the APA styles. You don't need to put page here, I think. And some of the statement is no reference. I think you should need to reach your references since you already cite a lot of things. You put everything here, but seems like it lacks the references. And also for the references, if it's not the main theory or the grand theory, please use the newest references. I saw that you use more than 10 years references, like 2012 and then 2013 and whatever. And then here for capaian pembelajaran, you should use the English term. And then for the background, I think you can struck it well, so that's good. And next one is the research questions. in case you use in what way, it better to use the academic term like how does the implementation of Kahoot enhance blah blah blah. Okay, and then oh yeah, for the theoretical review, I think you need to rearrange your theoretical review since it's a little bit confusing for me as a readers, and I think you like the connections for each part it's sometimes doesn't connect, like reading theories you talk about the reading skills and then you also talk about the reading comprehensions, and yeah, I think you need to rearrange. Actually, I already rearranged your theoretical review, but I forgot to take the pictures of it. I will send it to you later. And the next one is still like the references. Oh yeah, I found that inconsistency of the term that you use. Sometimes you use reading skill, sometimes you use the reading comprehension. So you need to just use once only. And then since you mentioned since you said a long text here from Brown and Lee, I think like it's 2 pages Brown and Lee to avoid the what's that? The plagiarism, and to reach your argument, you should add more reference on it. Yeah, it's still the arrangements of the theoretical review, and this one is I think you don't need to put it here. And wait. Oh yeah. I found that you still have like a vocabulary or reading on the term because in some part you talk about vocabularies, in some parts you talk about reading. So actually what you want to talk about. And then the next one is quizzes or Kahoot, because I found that impact of quizzes since you implement Kahoot gitu. Or quizzes is what's that? Time of the Kahoot itself. I think yeah, you can read that one, but you can or we can talk more about the review. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mbak Ilma.
Well, thank you, Mbak Ilma. And now we move to the next section. Yeah, question and answer section. We only accommodate one question. If you guys have a question, you may raise your hand and state the question. No question? So we assume that you don't have any question. So now I think we move to the next presenter, but feedback first. Oh, okay. We kindly invite Ma'am Nunik to give feedback for Mbak Niken. So, Ma'am, time is
Kayaknya udah capek bikin pertanyaan ya. Well, thank you, Ibu Niken, for your presentation, and thank you everyone for coming today. Though actually this week we have a holiday, yeah. It's for you to be focused on your preparation for the final exam. Yes, I have some notes, yeah, for you, Bu Niken. Yeah, so you are teaching now, right, Bu Niken? So your
Yes,
students
ma'am.
will be the participants of your research.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me start from the good sides of your proposal, ya, Bu Niken, ya.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
though your title is Implementing Kahoot to enhance students' reading comprehension in discussion text in grade 12 F1 at SMA 1 Cilacap in that academic year. Yeah, right. So, Bu Niken, let me first of all highlight the strengths on the positive sides of your thesis proposal. The first is related to the relevance, yeah, of your topic, yeah. You know that
Yeah.
Kahoot is a gamified platform, yeah, and this
Yeah.
really aligns well with the 21st century teaching practices now. You know
Yes.
that gamification is becoming more popular today, and it is also in line with the curriculum, which emphasizes technology integration and student-centered learning. Now we are using the approach of deep learning, yeah, Uniken, are you familiar with that? And maybe you have got the training on that?
Yes. Maybe for the next for this semester, ma'am, we are going
Yeah.
to
So
implement
you
that.
know
Yeah.
that the approach of deep learning really requires
Mm-hmm.
teachers to use technology, yeah,
Technology. Yes,
digital
ma'am.
technology. And then, yes, it is student-centered, yeah.
Center. Yeah.
All right. So it it is a good choice then. And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
the text you choose is discussion text, yeah, and it is one of the key genre in the high school
Yes.
level, yeah. So
Yes, ma'am.
yes, it is indeed contextually important to study, right? Okay, right, that's the first one. Now the second
ma'am.
is about the background. When we look at your background, I could see that you justify the need for the research thoroughly by identifying some issues such as low reading comprehension, lack of engagement, outdated teaching methods. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah. And then you also integrate various expert opinions like Krashen, yeah, and then Cambria, Davodi, and so on. And it really adds the credibility. And then when we go to the research questions and objectives, yes, your questions are researchable and already specific, and the objectives also align logically with the research questions on the problem formulation. And then let's go to chapter 2 here. It's on the literature review. In your literature review, I could find detailed explanation of reading comprehension theories, levels, strategies, and Kahoot itself as an instructional tool. So that's good. And then you also incorporate and macro reading skills and then genre-based approach, yeah. So it really shows strong theoretical grounding. That's about your literature review. And then the next is your chapter 3. You employ CAR, yeah, which is appropriate for the school-based intervention. You also present the detailed research procedure and then the tools for the data collection and then the data analysis plan are also well discussed in chapter 3, yeah. Right. And then, yeah, they are the good points. Yeah. So keep them. But there are still some things you have to improve. Yeah, Bunike. Maybe you can write down my suggestion. The first is about your title. Yeah. About your title. If I may suggest, yeah, the title could be rephrased into enhancing grade 12 students' reading comprehension of discussion text through Kahoot at SMAN Cilacap. Okay, you can also mention the academic year. Can you write it down, Bu? Niken?
Yes, ma'am. Enhancing.
Yes.
Gimana, ma'am? Enhancing grade 12.
Enhancing grade
12.
12 students' reading comprehension
Yes.
of discussion text
Yes.
through Kahoot at SMA, nama SMA-nya, and
Yeah.
then in the academic year of, boleh, tapi nggak harus ya, karena nanti bisa disebutkan di setting of the research ya. Is that
Oh,
clear?
yeah. Siap, ma'am.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes,
then,
ma'am.
yeah, actually, language, yeah, and grammar issues also need attention, yeah. I could find numerous critical errors and then wordiness, then awkward phrasing, yeah. Bu Niken, would you please proofread, yeah, check, yeah,
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
proofread. And then some
Thank you.
sentences are repetitive, yeah, and also
Yes.
redundant. So the point is that a very thorough language edit is needed. Yeah, you need,
Oh, siap.
you can invite someone to help you, or you can go to
Yes.
Grammarly or something. Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
And then
Yes.
another is about the research question syntax. Yeah, how you formulate the research question. In your proposal, the research question is, in what way the implementation of Kahoot enhance the students' reading comprehension? Yeah, I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
to make it in line with the design of the research, which is classroom action research, you could revise it into, would you please write it down when you can?
Yes, ma'am.
How does the implementation of Kahoot enhance
Yes.
students' reading comprehension of maybe discussion text? Yeah, you can.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the way how you
Yes.
formulate the question. Yeah.
Yes,
And
ma'am. Yeah.
then the weakness of your chapter 2, especially in the literature review, yeah. Well, and you have cited many sources, yeah, Bu Niken, but I could
Yes.
see some inconsistencies in citation formatting, ya.
Mm-hmm.
Ya,
Yes,
terutama
ma'am.
kan teks citation yang citasi yang ada di dalam teks, ya. Ya, so
Yes.
you had better synthesize and then quote it, daripada mengutip panjang-panjang mendingan disintesakan gitu ya, Bu Niken.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes.
then some references udah out of date ya, like from 1980s ya. Why don't you balance with more recent studies ya? After
Oh, yes.
maybe after 2015 ya,
Yes, ma'am.
2015. Yeah, make it
Yes.
update, more updated.
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
for some, like we call it teori babon ya, teori induk ya.
Yeah.
Ya,
Yes, ma'am.
namanya creation ya, itu kan memang
Kresen
you
itu
can
boleh,
also,
ma'am. Kalau
ya
kresen
boleh.
boleh ya, ma'am.
Boleh,
Oh,
kalau
iya.
itu memang teori yang
Oh,
core business ILT kita ya, teori
yes,
babon
ma'am.
gitu ya, namanya teori induk,
Yeah.
silakan. But you have
Yes,
to
ma'am.
support your proposal with more recent
Yes.
references. Articles ya, Ibu ya.
Yes, ma'am.
And then your conceptual framework, where I could see in what is it, the figure, yeah. The diagram and description are okay, but please, the causal link between motivation, engagement, comprehension should be made more explicit in the description or in the narrative form before the diagram is presented. I think you need to explore more, to write more the causal link between motivation in engagement and comprehension ya. In the narration
Yes.
ya.
Yes, ma'am. Berarti
And
tinggal
then
dinarasikan ya, ma'am. I have
ya,
to make it into the narrative.
make it
Yeah. Oh,
explicit before
yeah.
you put the ideas into the diagram.
Yes.
Ya. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the action hypothesis, Ibu.
Yes.
It's good to have the action hypothesis, yeah, but you need to make it sharper and more focused. Yeah. So, for
Yes.
example, would you please write it down, Bu
Yes.
Niken?
Yeah.
You
Yes,
can
ma'am.
write, you can revise it into, for example, yeah, this is just an inspiration. The integration of Kahoot in reading activities is hypothesized to significantly improve students' reading comprehension of discussion text in grade 12 F1 at SMA 1 Cilacap, yeah, something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then
Mhm.
chapter 3, I'd like to go, the details especially,
Yes.
The data analysis procedure. I know that because this is classroom action research, so you mix the qualitative and quantitative techniques, yeah. But would you please give more details on how the pre-test, post-test validity and reliability will be ensured? Yeah, Ibu ya.
Yes.
So any
Yes.
research, don't forget this validity and reliability. And then the
Okay.
second, not to forget, is what rubric, or criteria
Yes.
you will use to assess the reading comprehension levels.
Yes.
Okay? All
Yes, ma'am.
right. All right. So
Yeah.
my final recommendation is that, yes, you need to improve the readability of your proposal, and then you need to correct grammatical mistakes, the grammatical issues. And then please eliminate redundancy and long-winded explanations. Dihindari yang muter-muter gitu ya, Bu Niken, ya.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have to make
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
what is it? Make it apa ya, logically arranged ya. And then
Yes, ma'am.
please use consistent citation format ya, Bu. Saya
Yes, ma'am.
S2 tuh pakai apa? Apa Harvard atau apa ya? Apa? Oke, please use apa. Ya, kalau
Apa? Yes,
kadang kita
ma'am.
nggak hafal ya, apa tuh mintanya apa aja gitu. Apa mintanya apa aja. Ya. Why don't you download ya? Di download. Jadi khusus untuk Ya, ini ada kepentingan juga kita ya untuk artikel-artikel kita. Kita kan harus paham apa bagaimana. Walaupun kalau sudah pakai Mendeley sudah enak sih. Tapi kan kita harus tahu persis ya apa tuh kayak apa, Harvard kayak apa. Nah, itu kita harus punya filenya. And
Yes, ma'am.
then, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, actually, your proposal is strong and well motivated, ya Ibu ya, with a very
Yes,
clear objective and then strong theoretical support and also relevant methodological framework. But would you please polish the language and then tighten
yes,
the structure? Yeah, I'm sure
yes,
this has a good potential to become a solid research, yeah,
yeah,
project.
amin. Yes,
Oke,
thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you Ibu
Yeah,
Niken.
thank you,
Tetap
ma'am.
semangat ya
Yeah,
Bu Niken.
siap, ma'am. Insya Allah, ma'am. Sudah
Kita
terlalu
nggak
lama
bisa
meninggal.
sekali buat ya, sekali langsung. Oke.
Yes,
Alright,
ma'am. Insya
thank
Allah.
you.
Thank you. Thank
So
you, ma'am.
done, Bu Niken. The next is,
Alhamdulillah.
who will be the next?
Mbak Kiki, ma'am. Mbak Kiki.
Kiki Ade. Ya, oh Kiki Ade.
So thank you, ma'am, for the feedback. And now we move to the next presenter. Mbak Kiki will present her proposal, and we kindly invite Mbak Kiki to present it. So Mbak Kiki, are you ready? Tapi nggak bisa tersambung ya.
Berarti nggak usah
Am I clearly on? Yes. Bentar. Mas ini ya, PC aja.
Yang kurang jadi Mbak, ini.
Apa itu salah tuh? Tulisannya. Salah nggak apa-apa deh. Walah. Masnya nomornya yang mana ya? Oh ini yang Ki. Oke oke. Saja tuh.
Lagi mau share screen.
Mas.
Bisa juga.
Presentasinya 10 menit aja ya.
Okay, so now we move to the second presenter, Mbak Kiki Muhammad. So you have 10 minutes, Mbak, to present, and each is for peer review and also Q&A section. So Mbak Kiki, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mas Hengki. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Bu Nuni. Thank you very much for the time, and thank you for taking time to join my thesis proposal presentation. As a part of the final assignment of this thesis proposal subject, I would like to present under the title Facing EFL Teachers' Perspectives of Translanguaging and Transsemitizing in CLIL Classrooms. So today's talk will be divided into 3 parts. It's going to be started with chapter 1, which is the introduction, and we will move on to the chapter 2, which is the literature review, and but not the least, it will be closed by the chapter 3, or the research method. Now let's move on to the first and foremost, which is the introduction. It will consist of several points. Now let's begin with the background of the study. As we know that one of the innovative teaching approaches, which is CLIL, or content and language integrated learning, has become increasingly common in multilingual education nowadays. In Indonesia, especially, CLIL is often implemented with English as the sole medium of instruction, creating challenges for both students and teachers in pedagogical practices. These include limited comprehensions as the CLIL teachers can be either content-driven or even language-driven oriented, in which this insufficient balance can lead to disengagement of the students and restricted the fluidity of meaning-making process, as it is obviously one of the most key important aspects in teaching learning process. With that in mind, this study is inspired by the emerging concepts of translanguaging, which allows students to use their full linguistic repertoire, and transsemitizing, which incorporates visual, bodily movement, and multimodal resources to aid meaning making. Despite their potential, these approaches are still underexplored, especially in Indonesian context, CLIL classrooms. Therefore, this study aims to know more and investigate how teachers perceive and implement these concepts. Now, we will move on to the second point, which is the problem identification. Notwithstanding those aforementioned facts, we can emphasize that some problems can be identified. The first and foremost is that the limited integration between content and language in CLIL, which is it's actually very crucial as it is a initial design in CLIL itself. This and insufficient integration, there is an insufficient integration between content and language in CLIL practices, especially in Indonesian context. The second of all is that the lack of meaning-making strategies using linguistic and semiotic resources. The meaning-making process rarely emerges in CLIL application. And last but not the least, the final issue is the lack of teachers' understanding and training regarding translanguaging and transsemitizing. And as it is a dearth of teachers' comprehensions of the utilization of translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL approaches. And that's going to bring you to the delimitation of the research. Well, as the identification of the problem has been addressed previously, I'll delimit the research problem to voice out the teachers' perspectives of translanguaging and transsemitizing in classroom, particularly in teaching methodology, in order to enable a more concentrated analysis of the instructors' experiences and the results. This delimitation assures that the current study can fully capture their perspectives. That brings us to the research questions. This study is guided by 3 research questions. The first thing first is how CLIL teachers perceive the use of translanguaging. And the second is how do CLIL teachers perceive the use of transsemitizing, and not the least is how can both approaches address the challenges found in classroom, or how can the translanguaging and the transsemitizing diminish the problems emerging in CLIL classrooms. Well, in alignment with the formulation of the problem, the development objectives are as follows: to explore the teacher's perspectives of translanguaging utilization in CLIL classroom, as well as the transsemitizing utilization in classroom. And last is to investigate the utilization of translanguaging and transsemitizing to diminish the problems emerging in classrooms. Now let's go to the research proposals in response to the research questions. The proposals are first to explore teachers' the significances of the research. This section has 2 significant aspects of this research, which is the theoretical and practical. As the theoretically, this study contributes to enriching CLIL literature, particularly in EAVL settings. And practically, it will benefit teachers, students, and lecturers and researchers by highlighting effective practices that foster inclusive as well as meaningful instruction. Now let's go to the second topic of today's talk, which is the literature review. As a second chapter, this literature review will be divided into several key points. Now let's begin with the first, which is the content and language integrated learning, which is CLIL. This section has several aspects, which are the nature of CLIL, and then the aspect of CLIL itself, the method of CLIL, and so on and so forth. As we know that in the nature of CLIL, CLIL itself is a pedagogical approach that integrates the teaching of subject matter and additional language, often English, with the goal of enhancing both content knowledge and language proficiency, which is asserted by Coyle, Hood, and Marsh in 2010. It emerged as a response to the increasing need for multilingual competence in education, particularly in European and bilingual educational settings, as it has been discussed by Liu and Lin in 2021 and Nur Hasana and Setiawan in 2023. Apart from that, CLIL is grounded in the 4Cs framework, which stands for content, communication, cognition, and cultures. Additionally, it also emphasizes not only learning subject-specific content, but also fostering language development, critical thinking, and intercultural awareness, as the students are highly immersed in subject content delivered in a target language, which in this context is mostly English. They simultaneously develop language skills in authentic and meaningful contexts. The second aspect of CLIL is the features and practice of CLIL. Effective CLIL implementation relies on several interconnected components. The features are around the teachers itself, the methods, the materials, as well as the assessments. When it comes to the teachers, ideally, CLIL teachers should have strong proficiency in the target and language, as well as a deep understanding of the subject matter. In the research of Hidalgo and Villarreal in 2024, as well as Campan and Friends in 2017, highlighted that some institutions assign 2 teachers when it comes to CLIL approach, one for language teacher and one for the content teacher, but others most of the time rely on teachers with dual expertise. Teachers also require ongoing professional development to adapt to the dual focus of CLIL instructions, as has been highlighted by Bandegas in 2020. Move on to the methods of CLIL itself. The practice prioritize the learner-centered approaches such as project-based learning, cooperative tasks, debates, and scaffolded techniques, as has been mentioned and asserted by Mahan et al. In 2018, Gosdawa Galbiowski and Opaki and in 2020. Strategies therefore enhance both language fluency and content comprehension, fostering active participations. Moving on to the materials, indeed, the teaching materials in CLIL must support both content and language development, as it needs a strong and sufficient integration. Multimodal resources such as visuals, gestures, diagrams, and multimedia are integral to bridging linguistic gaps and promoting meaning making, as has been mentioned by Nicola and friends in 2024, as well as Son and et al. In 2022. Last but not least is the assessment, the CLIL assessment. It should address both subject knowledge and language competence. Formative assessment strategies, portfolios, and self or peer assessments are often used to evaluate progress and encourage reflective learning in the context of CLIL assessment itself. Moving on to the third aspect of CLIL, which is the CLIL in Indonesia. Indonesia CLIL has gained gained attention primarily in bilingual and international school settings. However, the implementation has faced challenges due to limited teacher training, insufficient teaching materials, and institutional constraints, as this has been researched by Setyaningrum and Purwati in 2020, Afandi and Nurfadila in 2023. Despite these barriers, however, studies have shown that positive impacts of CLIL on students' language skills and content understanding, as Guntur and et al. In 2021 and Sari et al. In 2024 have found. However, a notable issue is that many CLIL teachers in Indonesia, especially, apply CLIL principle unintentionally without formal training or even a clear understanding of the approach. This highlights the urgent needs for targeted professional development to support sustainable CLIL practices. The next is the translanguaging. the translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL classroom. Translanguaging refers to the process by which multilingual individuals make meaning by drawing on their entire linguistic rather than operating within fixed language boundaries, which is highlighted by Garcia and Wei in 2014. This perspective challenges the monolingual norms often reinforce the traditional CLIL practices, particularly where English is positioned as the sole language of instructions. In CLIL context, translanguaging enables students to use their first languages. In Indonesian context, it is Indonesian language to scaffold understanding of content, thus enhancing comprehension and cognitive engagement, like what Sinos and Gorer in 2015 had already found out. It also supports classroom inclusivity and affirms learners' linguistic identities. However, resistance to translanguaging remains strong in many FL contexts due to prevailing English-only ideologies and concerns about code switching being viewed as a deficiency. By adopting translanguaging within CLIL classrooms will encourage a shift from a restrictive language policy to a dynamic, learner-centered approach that promotes deeper interaction with content and language. On the other hand, this transsemitizing itself refers to a process of meaning-making through multiple semiotic resources, including visuals, gestures, movement, space, and often working in coordination with spoken or written language, which mentioned by Lin in 2015. And this concept builds on the theory of multimodality, which recognizes that communication in classroom as inherently multimodal, and the student learn through various channels. As Son and Franz in 2022 suggest, integrating translanguaging with transsemitizing creates a more fluid and responsive learning environment that addresses diverse learners' needs. It can shift the classroom from a rigid English-only model to a more inclusive, multimodal space for knowledge construction. Speaking of the previous study, several prior studies have explored aspects of CLIL, translanguaging, and teacher perceptions. The first study is from Kovačíková and Lupričová in 2018, which examined CLIL practices across Europe and highlighted the need for contextual adaptation and teacher training. And the second research conducted by Villabona and Sinos in 2022 revealed that content and language teachers often hold different perspectives on CLIL, which can lead to imbalances in its implementation. And last but not least, previous study is conducted by Afandi and Nurfadila in 2023. They explored the feasibility of CLIL in Indonesia, especially in the secondary schools, and they emphasize the role of institutional support. However, few studies have explicitly investigated how well teachers and how in Indonesia perceive or implement CLIL classrooms, pointing to a significant research gap because there is a dearth of knowledge about the implementation of translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL practice itself. Going to a conceptual framework, this conceptual framework, the study rests on the translanguaging and transsemitizing, that they are not merely instructional tools, but they also are the dynamic meaning-making process that can reshape CLIL practices. So in this section, this approach will promote inclusive scaffolded learning by drawing on learners' full linguistic and semantic repertoires. Okay. Therefore, the conceptual framework, hold on, ada kasih gambar di situ. I'm very sorry that I forgot to put the pictures of the conceptual framework on my PowerPoint, but for the conceptual framework, it begins with the teacher's challenges in CLIL classrooms and going to the workshop. So after that, it will be enhanced by the workshop of the use of translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL practices that will be conducted by the researcher and the lectures from after that, that will be going to the it will enhance the teacher it will support or provide the teachers sufficient knowledge and comprehension. And it will go to the next, which is the application of translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL practices, and teachers' challenges in CLIL classrooms will be solved. So that's the big picture of conceptual framework. Going to the very last chapter, which is the research design. I'm planning to employ a classroom action research design involving planning, action, observation, and reflections, as Hare and Anderson in 2015 have asserted that a specific teaching learning program that has been discovered in the classroom setting is what classroom action research seeks to revolve. So the action will involve a workshop to introduce the utilization of translanguaging and transsemitizing in CLIL practices. The participating teachers hopefully will apply the approaches in their classroom, and the researcher will observe and support the teachers itself. Moving on to the time of the research. This research is the planned time frame for the study is planned to be around October in 2025 to December 2025, or roughly 12 weeks. So the first and second week will be used for the researcher to focus on creating clear approach using translanguaging and transsemitizing with the lectures at Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. And the next following week, both the researcher and the lectures will all together conduct the workshop for the target teachers. And then in the next 6 weeks, the teachers therefore will implement the knowledge that they gain from the workshop to collect qualitative information. The teachers will all the researcher will interview the teachers, and it will be conducted in the following week. And it will take about 2 weeks to analyze the collected data and prepare the research findings. Speaking of the settings and the subjects, this research will be conducted at SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta, a school that offers a global assessment certificate classes, which implements the CLIL practices. And the participants include CLIL teachers itself and their and their students. Moving on to the data collection and instrument, there will be 4 points. The first is planning the action, implementing the action and observation, and last is reflecting on the action. The first stage, which is the planning action, it will be used to identify a group of CLIL teachers working at SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta that implement CLIL practices, and then the research and the lectures will design a professional development program in the form of workshop. Moving on to the second stage, which is acting, where the researcher and the lecturer will conduct the workshop for the participating teachers. And during this stage, the teachers will be actively engaged in learning about translanguaging and transsemitizing that will be guided to adapt this concept into their pedagogical practices. And the third action, which is the third stage, which is the action and observation, that data will be collected to monitor the implementation of the new strategies, and to explore how the teachers are responding to the intervention. Last but not the least, the final stage is the reflecting on the stage, where the researcher and the participating teachers will meet to discuss the outcomes of the interventions. Additionally, this stage will also involve and analyzing the data collected during the observation phase, and encourages teachers to reflect on the effectiveness of these new practices. Now, let's move on to data collection techniques. Well, to conduct this study, it will be employed multiple qualitative data collection techniques that allow for a comprehension and in-depth understanding, which will be used. First is classroom observation, semi-structured interviews, teacher, and as well as the teacher reflective journals. And going to the data analysis, the data collected in this study will be analyzed using qualitative content analysis to identify patterns, themes, and insights related to the teacher's perspective and pedagogical practices. To ensure credibility and trustworthiness, this study will employ triangulation by comparing data from different sources, interviews, observation, journals, and teaching documentation to validate the findings. Member checking will be also used for credibility. Last point from this presentation is about the criteria for action success. The success will be measured through the first of all is there will be an improvement of the teacher awareness in regards to the application of the strategies, and the teacher reflections showing professional growth, as well as their willingness to continue the strategy after the study. That is the end of my talk today, and I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have at the end of this presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, then thank you, Mbak Kiki. So now I kindly invite Mbak Sabrina to give the review regarding to this proposal. Mbak Sabrina, time is yours. You have only at least 2 or 3 minutes maximum.
Oh my God, only 2 and 3 minutes? Okay. All right, so I will deliver my feedback to Kiki. So first of all, the positive feedbacks. First, the topic is particularly relevant to Indonesian schools at present, especially in Jakarta. What is it? Oh, okay. Where international schools are gaining popularity right now, and then the structure is clear, following the thesis guidelines. However, there are just few typos in using the font. Maybe you just need to look at it again. And the literature review is comprehensive and well sourced, showing a solid grasp of CLIL and translanguaging and also transsemitizing. You also included relevant studies from both global and Indonesian contexts. And then for areas of improvement, you already created the abstract. So for the abstract, maybe it's too descriptive. So you should directly specify the research design, the participants, and also the expected contributions. And for the literature review, needs to be reviewed again to ensure that everything necessary is included. That is not overly lengthy, because I read your literature review. It's overly lengthy. I think you need to make sure that you only put what you need for your research. Okay, and then you don't have to put theories or explanation that do not support your research. Okay, and then make sure that there is no redundancy or overlapping. And then for conceptual framework, is slightly undeveloped. So a conceptual framework is not list of steps that you will do. Rather, it is a logical model showing how your chosen concepts are related. So what should be there are key theories or concepts relevant to your research problem that show how those concepts are related to one another to answer your research question. And the proposal states it will use core, but I think you haven't explained convincingly justify why core is the most appropriate choice for this research. And also I have one I need a clarification on your research. So you use CLIL. So CLIL is a teaching approach where content subjects like science, history, or math are taught through a foreign language, aiming to improve both the subject matter and also the language skills. However, in your research, the subject is English teachers. So I just need to confirm, so are they English teachers who teach English or English teachers who teach other subjects? Okay, so I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. I think I managed my time very well.
All right, then thank you, Mbak Sabrina. So I assume that there is no question. So we move to Ma'am Nunik to give feedback. So ma'am, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Kiki ya. Yes, let me have a look at my note. So, yeah, and the title of your thesis is translanguaging ya. Yeah, voicing EFL teachers' perspectives on translanguaging and transsemiotising in CLIL classrooms. Right. Yeah, 2 items, yeah, translanguaging and transsemiotising.
I have a interview, so I need to take us again.
What interview?
Job interview.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, so overall, the proposal demonstrates, yeah, well, it sounds academic and then also showing a clear focus, actually, yeah. But in details, let me tell you your strengths first, yeah. The first is about the timely and relevant topic. So your topic is timely. Timely means lagi ngetren ya, apa kontekstual gitu ya. Current, it is current ya. And then relevant. So the integration of translanguaging and transsemiotising in CLIL, yeah, content and language integrated learning, is a very current issue and it is relevant in language education. Yeah, you know that CLIL, yeah, is becoming more popular now. Yeah, well, especially in the multilingual context like Indonesia, yeah, so it's very relevant, yeah. And many, not yet many, but a number of schools in Jogja already applies CLIL, yeah, CLIL. And one of them is SMP LHI, yeah, in Yogyakarta. This is just one, but you know that this is not easy to do. And then your theory is also strong, yeah. You have a strong theoretical foundation. The literature review is detailed and then up to date, yeah. And then you also refer to international and Indonesian sources, yeah. That's good, yeah. So you also look at the Indonesian situation, yeah, not only internationally. And then your research questions and objectives are well aligned with the objectives and also the theoretical framework. And then, yeah, many of you use classroom action research, yeah. But make sure that you are on time. You know that classroom action research has some obstacles, yeah, like the availability of the students and then the readiness of the teacher and then whether the schools warmly welcome you or not, and then the arrangement with the teachers and so on. Yeah, so it has some, but it is not something difficult, but you have to really be able to anticipate, yeah, Mbak, yeah. You have to really start from the beginning of next semester. Why? Because if you are already in the middle, they are busy with the UTS, and then at the end, they will be busy with the UAS, with some other agenda. So make sure that this before July, yeah, things ready. Maybe you can start with a preliminary study to find out, to put data in your introduction. And then, yeah, all right. The organization also is also coherent, yeah, Mbak, yeah, good, and you have good transitions from one section to another section. But you still have some items to improve, yeah. The first is the theoretical redundancy and length. When you look at chapter 2, your literature review is very long, yeah, and then occasionally repetitif, ulang, banyak yang diulang. Okay, you check again, yeah. For example, several paragraphs revisit the same ideas about the training, multimodal resources, yeah. And then you mention again, yeah. It's like winding, muter gitu ya, muter-muter. Okay. And then you should also be consistent with the terminology. Like, for example, semiotizing with Z, or with S, yeah, just be consistent, whether you use British or American spelling, yeah. And then you put the abstract, yeah, the abstract of your proposal. Yeah, it's okay, but your abstract is very general, yeah, and has some minor grammar issues, yeah. So make it more concise, yeah, make it more concise by mentioning the background and then the aim, the method, the scope, and then the expected contribution, because you have not had the findings yet, yeah. But you can mention there the expected contribution.
That's a deleted. That's just for my going up. If I already.
Oh yeah, okay, it's okay. Well, right. Only when the format needs you to write abstract, you could put that. And then another is another inconsistency in terminology, like research objectives, and then in another section you use objectives of the problem. Objectives of the problem or objectives of the research? Masalah itu tidak punya tujuan, ya. Yang punya tujuan itu research-nya, ya. Alright, so research objectives is better. And then the grammar as usual, ya Mbak, ya. Please check your grammar. And then, yes, it's about the method. You choose car, yeah. And you also describe the details. But the rationale for using car, yeah, needs to be more explicitly justified. Why car? Why not another qualitative method? Why not phenomenology? Why not? Because ya, jadi agak bingung ya judulnya. Ini kan sing ya, menyuarakan. You do not want to improve anything, or you just want to report. You talk about perspective, so it's not appropriate.
Because actually, at the school itself, the teachers do not really use language and translatizing. So I would like to introduce it first, and after that, I would like to know about their perspectives after they know the
So,
organization.
what will you do in the cycles?
So we're gonna introduce and also
To the student or to the teachers?
The teachers about the utilization of to translate learning and translatizing in clinical practices.
So what is your action to the students?
The teacher will after the teachers have gained knowledge about how input or how to put the utilization in clinical practices, they will apply.
Who will be teaching?
The teachers after they gain knowledge.
Why don't you do the teaching? Why is it not you doing the teaching?
Our faculty teachers' perspective,
so I don't think car is appropriate.
So what is the appropriate one?
Yeah, it's just a kind of maybe phenomenology. Yeah, or case study, but case study must be you must have the real case, which is very unique, and cannot be found in other places. Like, for example, the school implementing CLIL, and then the school is very effective in translanguaging and transsemitizing. If you use CAR, meaning that the teacher or you will be doing the teaching by employing translanguaging and transsemitizing to improve the quality of the teaching. Yeah, I don't see that in your proposal. So CAR is not the most appropriate one because you only look at the teacher's perspective. Yeah, can anyone feel about that? So you just want to explore what the teachers think about translanguaging and transsemitizing, right? So it's not CAR because you do not need any action to do there.
So if I still want to use card, do I have to change the title?
Yes, but the teachers must do the teaching, or you do the teaching and employing translanguaging and transsemitizing. You have to be very clear what to do in cycle 1, what to do in cycle 2, and what you would like to improve. Is it the students' cognition, on the students' affection, on the students' psychomotor? It must be very clear. Ya, saya kok bukan karya because you do not want to improve anything. Kan cuman mau melihat itu pakai teleskop kan. Teleskopnya pakai fenomenologi tadi. Atau kalau karena ini sangat spesial, oh this is the only school in this town using CLIL. Terus, oh ternyata padahal di situ kan belum ada translanguaging, transsemit. Gurunya baru mau diajarin kan. Kalau pakai case tadi juga nggak tepat juga, karena nggak ada yang istimewa. Istimewanya cuma CLIL. Tapi topik utamanya yang translanguaging dan transsemitizing belum ada di situ. Nah ini kalau mau CAR, do you think you will be very efficient and ngajarin gurunya dulu gitu ya tentang translanguaging and transsemitizing. Terus itu takes time kan? Kapan selesainya tesisnya? I want you to graduate very soon, Mbak Kiki ya. Jadi jangan mempersulit diri ya. Anda tuh kalau bikin tesis nggak usah mempersulit diri. Yang selesai. Jelas problemnya, jelas tujuannya, benar metodenya, that's all. Nggak usah menyusahkan diri sendiri. Kalau seperti ini, mau cari tahu perspektif, gitu ya. Misalnya nih, ini saya mau meneliti kelas ini, saya mau melihat perspektif mahasiswa S2 PBI angkatan sekian terhadap pemberlakuan deep learning oleh pemerintah atau pembelajaran mendalam. Lah, tapi Anda sendiri belum tahu deep learning, ya baru dengar sekarang. Kok saya tiba-tiba masuk ingin tahu perspektifnya? Lah kan saya harus ngajarin dulu, ini ya deep learning. Itu aja sekali ngajarin belum tentu paham. Kan datanya bisa bias tuh. Ya. Daripada kesulitan kalau saya pikirnya sih. Transsemitizing. Nah, kalau memang melihat ada tanda-tanda itu, meskipun gurunya nggak tahu loh ya. Kadang-kadang guru itu melakukan translanguaging, tapi nggak tahu kalau itu translanguaging. Tapi Anda sebagai peneliti tahu. Ini terjadi itu di kelas ini. Silakan. Baru nanti ketika interview gitu ya, dijelaskan. Atau ketika interview pun nggak usah mereka tahu definisi translanguaging juga nggak apa-apa. Tapi semua pertanyaan Anda mengungkap tentang translanguaging. Baru nanti setelah interview selesai tuh gurunya, oh Bapak Ibu itu sebetulnya selama ini menerapkan ini loh yang sedang ngetren gitu. Nah, seperti itu. Nah, ada nggak praktik-praktik itu di tahap-tahap fase Mbak Kiki? Kalau ada silakan lanjut. Kalau enggak mungkin bisa ke yang lain gitu. Em, iya, jadi agak susah nanti. Mungkin gurunya nggak harus tahu definisi translanguaging, nggak harus tahu translanguaging ya, tapi mereka Tapi Mbak Kiki bisa melihat mereka melakukan itu it's okay. Ya. Tapi melihat ada itu enggak? Kalau enggak ya berarti belum bisa digali perspektif mereka. Jadi nanti misalnya, oh saya melihat kok Bu banyak sering melakukan itu ketika saya observasi. Tapi mungkin mereka enggak tahu itu. Gitu ya. Jadi ya enggak apa-apa. Pertanyaannya didesain untuk mengungkap translanguaging. Gitu. Ya, ya. Oke. Itu bab 3-nya ya. Ya, kemudian kriteria. Iya, jadi artinya apa nih? Sudah menerapkan. Nah, ini karena gini ya, em, gimana sih? Kalau kita meneliti, metode penelitian itu kan kayak navigator ya. Anda mau berlayar, gitu ya, berlayar ke laut mana, nggak punya kompas, nggak punya, wah berarti bisa apa yang akan dilakukan, apa yang harus disiapkan, apa yang, oke, jadi nggak apa-apa, it's okay. Dulu ketika saya garap tesis juga salah metode juga. Jadi Anda jangan merasa, wah kok metodenya enggak. It's okay, ini kan baru proposal gitu ya. Dan justru ketahuan lebih awal lebih. Ya, tetapi kalau Anda misalnya mau meningkatkan apa dari siswa dengan menggunakan translanguaging, oke. Tapi gurunya belum tahu itu Bu, belum kenal, nggak ngerti sama sekali dan memang belum ada praktik itu, you must be ready to teach. Itu mengajar tapi dengan menggunakan translanguaging, mengajar pakai translanguaging. Itu boleh jalan terus karena tidak pernah sama sekali menggunakan translanguaging sama transsemitizing ya berarti don't continue. Tapi kalau mereka sudah tapi mereka nggak sadar bahwa itu adalah translanguaging, nggak apa-apa. Oke. Cuma tinggal menyadarkan saja kan gitu ya. Tapi kalau Anda melihat praktik-praktik itu kemudian atau melihat urgent issues di sekolah itu dan ternyata Anda berpikir itu bisa dipecahkan dengan translanguaging, oke. Tapi kalau gurunya belum paham translanguaging, jangan gurunya yang ngajar. Mbak Kiki yang paham. Is that clear? Ya, so you have choices. Mau diapakan ini bab 3-nya, ya? Alright. Oke. Itu suggestionnya ya Mbak ya. Research design-nya ya Anda harus bisa kalau tetap ingin lanjut CAR, itu judulnya harus diubah ke konstruksi judul untuk CAR, termasuk juga research problemnya, research objectives-nya, apalagi metodenya. Ya, so you have, and then in your chapter 3, you have to really provide sufficient fiction why CAR is more appropriate daripada phenomenology atau case study. Kalau case study, kalau fenomenologi saya juga nggak yakin karena belum tentu gurunya melakukan itu. Case study juga saya nggak yakin juga. Emang di situ sangat istimewa nggak sih? Unik gitu ya. Yang jadi unit satuan dari case itu, ya? Oke. Alright.
Can I ask question?
Yes.
Will that be still feasible or doable if I change the title into voicing several students' perspective?
Sama saja, sama aja. Ini bukan tentang voicing. Kalau voicing perspektif itu nggak bisa dengan CAR. Ya, nggak bisa dengan CAR. Itu harus dengan case study atau dengan fenomenologi. Jadi kalau kamu tuh kayak buniken tadi loh, enhancing, improving, apalagi. Pokoknya meningkatkan gitu ya, fostering, ya kayak gitu-gitu ya. Nggak apa-apa. Everyone, you must still be full of spirit. Pusing di method itu normal. Ya, bingung ini mau diteliti pakai apa. Kadang kita mikirnya, saya mau meneliti pakai metode ini. Kenapa mikirin metode dulu? Yang dipikirkan itu adalah problemnya dulu. Anda menemukan problem apa sehingga sehingga muncul pertanyaan penelitian. Oh, yang kayak gini nih bisanya dengan CAR. Yang kayak gini nih bisanya dengan case study. Jadi itu loh menjodohkan antara penyelesaian masalah dengan metode. Kalau ini kayaknya belum berjodoh. Tapi jangan dikawin paksa ya, please. Kenapa? Nanti Mbak Kiki sendiri yang susah. Ya, kalau nggak klub jangan dikawin paksa tuh dua item itu ya. Itu tuh sudah harus sehati sejak dari awal. Nggak apa-apa ini eksplorasi. Nanti ngobrol di luar kelas juga boleh. Bisa ketemu saya ya. Oke, ya. Alright. Semua yang menulis tesis, disertasi, skripsi pasti mengalami tahap yang namanya bingung. Bingung pertama mau nulis apa, neliti apa. Oke, udah selesai. Nanti ini kadang bingung nyari-nyari masalah gitu ya. Padahal masalah itu di mana-mana. Itu pun Anda masih kebingungan nyari gitu ya. Oke, ketemu masalahnya udah ketemu. Solusinya ini gimana harus disolusi dengan apa? Itu kan berarti milih metode. Jadi really step by step. Nggak apa-apa. Nanti boleh diskusi di luar kelas ya. Ya, alright. Tinggal dua orang lagi ya?
Yes, ma'am.
Dua. Oke, dua langsung gimana?
Ya.
Dua
Dua
langsung ya.
setelah itu
Saya nanti
baru
biasanya
feedback.
kalau saya satu orang tuh kadang ngelantur saya memberikan komentarnya.
Dua langsung feedback
Dua
itu.
langsung, ya, dua langsung online semua ya.
Ya.
Online semua, terus reviewernya agak mirip ya, 5 menit. Masing-masing reviewer, ya maksimal banget 5 menit. Oke. Biar saya nanti, ini kayaknya kan Anda lebih banyak membutuhkan pencerahan ya. Iya, walaupun cuaca sedang tidak cerah ya. Anda butuh siraman, bukan rohani.
Siraman inspirasi.
Siraman pikiran ya. Motivasi ya. Oke, dua orang 15 menit, kalau bisa 10 menit 10 menit, kemudian reviewer 5 menit 5 menit. Jadi saya bisa lebih leluasa untuk dua orang terakhir ya. Ya, please the moderator.
Right, ma'am. Thank you for the insight and feedback. So now we move to the next two presenters. Mbak Ajeng and Mbak Putri will consecutively doing their presentation, and Mbak Ajeng will be the first, then followed by Mbak Putri. Mbak Ajeng, I kindly remind you that your time is limited to the 10 minutes. So Mbak Ajeng, time is yours.
Okay, so thank you, Mas Hasan. Good morning, Ma'am Nunik. Is it an honor? Is it an honor for me to given to this opportunity to present my thesis proposal? Let me share the screen. Sorry. Oh my God. Okay, so here's is my screen visible? Okay, so thank you. Let me start my presentation here. So the title is The Role of Facilities and Teacher Quality Enhancing Teaching Creativity, a study in an international school. So I will review in my overview about my presentation today. The first is introduction and background. The second is problem statement and rationale. The third is key terminologies. The fourth is research objective and research questions. And then a literature review, also the theoretical framework. The next is research methodology. The next is expected contribution and practical implication. And the last is references. So without any further ado, I will start with the introduction and background. So the first is importance of teaching creativity. This is vital for fostering critical thinking and problem solving skills. And then the context is international school present a unique setting for examining this. Also, the core focus is the interplay between educational facilities and teacher quality significantly influences creative teaching practices. We understand that the creativity in teaching plays a crucial role in modern education. Is it not only how to delivering content, but more importantly about how we as educators can foster critical thinking and problem solving skills in skills that are essentials in today's era. Also, in the context of the research, I have chosen an international school as the setting with their diverse of international school students population, globally standards curricula, also and a high experience, a high expectation for innovation, offer a unique, highly relevant environment to be examined. Also, the core focus in this research I am proposing is to gain a deeper understanding of how to fundamental elements in educational facilities and the quality of teachers interact and collectively influence creative teaching practices. Also, this study examined how state-of-the-art facilities and high-caliber educators contribute to teaching creativity in international school. So, this study aims to specifically explore how to advance facilities and high-quality educators in international schools can make a tangible contribution to enhancing and enriching creativity in teaching process itself. So the next is the problem statement and rationale. So the first is the challenge. Cultivating students' critical thinking and problem solving requires fostering teaching creativity. So the background underlines this research is ongoing challenge in the field of education, how we can effectively develop students' critical thinking, problem solving skills itself. So one of the key to addressing this challenge is through enhancing creativity in teaching. Also, the synergy, the combination of advanced facilities and high quality teaching create an environment conducive to teaching creativity. Also, the need is a dual focus on upgrading upgrading facilities and investing in teacher quality is essential for enriching students' learning. Also, the key influencers is quality of facilities and caliber of teaching staff are vital. This subtopic is the modern facilities can inspire innovative methods. Also, the high quality continuously developed teachers adopt innovative approaches. So, the more importantly, however, lies is the need to place dual focus and attention not only on improving or upgrading cycle and technological facilities, but also on continuous investment in the development of teacher quality and professionalism. Also, the key terminologies here, I state teaching creativity, ability to develop and implement innovative teaching methods, engaging students and fostering critical thinking. And then facilities, cycle and technological resources such as classrooms, libraries, digitals, also maybe ebook or something like that. So the teacher quality itself, effectiveness and competence of educators, which is qualification, experience, pedagogical skills, and so on. So the international school as well, institution catering to diverse nationalities, often with international curricula, emphasizing multicultural education. The case study is in-depth analysis the specific instances in a real life settings. So enhancement process of improving the quality of effectiveness of teaching creativity. So the teaching creativity is define the teacher's ability to develop, implement new original and innovative teaching methods, arrive at effectively engaging students, fostering their critical thinking. And then the cycle of facilities and the technological resource available at school support the teaching and learning process. and then include classroom design, laboratories, and so on that I mentioned before. So the teacher quality itself, the effectiveness and competence of an educator, which can be observed through various indicators such as academic qualification, teaching experience, mastery of pedagogical skill, and commitment to ongoing professional development. And I will state the enhancement. In the context of this proposal, enhancement refers to the process of improving, of the quality and effectiveness of teaching practices with the goal of making them more creative and impactful. The research objective, here's the main goal of this research is to provide a comprehensive understanding of factors contributing to teaching creativity in international schools. To achieve this main goal, I have formulated 5 more specific research objective, which is the first is investigate the impact of facilities on teaching creativity, which is classroom design, research, and technology. The second is to assess the role of teacher quality in fostering creativity, which is pedagogical skills, experience, and engagement. The third is to examine the interaction between facilities and teacher quality. The fourth is to explore the contextual factors in international schools, which is cultural diversity, educational philosophies. And the last is to provide practical recommendation for educator, administrator, and also policymaker. So the research question here, what specific aspect of schools that the first is what specific aspect of school facilities contribute to enhancing teaching creativity in international schools. The second is how does teacher quality influence the implementation of creative teaching strategies in international school. The third is in what ways do the facilities and teacher quality creativity, and how to the contextual factors in the international school itself. So what the last is what recommendation can be made to improve facilities and teacher training programs to enhance teaching creativity in international school.
Sorry
So
Mbak Ajeng, waktunya terbatas, sebenarnya sudah habis. Dimohon untuk dipercepat.
Okay, so thank you, Mas Hengki. The literature view, the first is understanding creativity in teaching, generating a new original ideas to enrich learning. I have mentioned it before on the breakdown, also on the key terminologies. Also, the second is the role of facilities enhancing teaching creativity, conducive cycle environment boost motivation and creativity itself. So the fourth is teacher quality and teaching creativity. So here is effective teacher adapt strategies for diverse need, professional development, enhance skill and creativity, technology proficiency, and create interactive experience, and collaboration leads to sharing innovative ideas. The fifth is interrelationship, which is reciprocal, adequate facility support, creative methods, quality teachers, optimist facilities, and also leadership is key in managing facilities and teacher development. So the theoretical framework I state here is constructive theories by Piaget and Vygotsky, emphasizes active learning and the environment role, activity support, facility supporting collaboration aligned with these principles. Also, Maslow hierarchy of needs, safe, comfortable, stimulating facilities meet basic need, allowing focus on creativity, quality teachers create a supportive atmosphere. And the next is Bandura social learning theory. Teachers model creative problem solving, facilities promoting interaction, enhance. Also, environmental psychology, well-designed learning environment enhance students' engagement and creativity. So the last is theories of creativity by Tens and also Guilford, emphasis divergent thinking, facilities providing resource to explore, foster of this problem. So the research methodology overview approach by qualitative quantitative case study focusing on analyzing data from multiple international sources renowned for innovative teaching, rational to gain an in-depth, comprehensive understanding of the unique dynamic of how facilities and teacher quality enhance or hinder teaching creativity in the specific setting. And then the context and the participants. The context is international schools, the diverse student population, varied curricula, which is IB, British, and American, emphasis on global perspective and multicultural environment. Also, the proposed sampling strategy, purposive sampling, schools known for innovation, convenient sampling, and snowball sampling itself. Also, the correspondence materials. The primary is the teachers from selected international school, supporting school administrator and so on. Also, perspective, students, documentation, cycle facilities, quality, also the indicators. So the data collection, in-depth interview with educator and administrator, and then the classroom observation to assess how facilities and teaching quality manifest in teaching creativity. The last is analyze of school infrastructure or documentation, facilities, policies, and materials. Also, the data analyze, overall approach, combination of qualitative primarily and potentially quantitative methods if I need, but I will not use this. I conduct this by a case study of qualitative. So the qualitative data analyze, content analyze, coding and covering data and open-ended question. Also thematic analyze, the case study analyze, the detailed examination of data from each school to identify the pattern of developed comprehensive and understanding. So here's the contribution of practical implication. The first is contribution to knowledge, provide valuable insight. Also, the practical implication, inform decision regarding investment in school facilities and teacher training. Also, the ultimate benefit, enrich students' learning and develop, preparing them for complex real-world challenges. Also, here my reference, and that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention. I will give back to Mas Henki.
All right then, thank you, Jeng. So now we move to the peer review section, and Mbak Ajeng's proposal will be reviewed by Mbak Putri. Mbak Putri, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So I would like to give feedback to Mbak Ajeng thesis proposal and the topic, the role of facilities and teacher quality, enhancing teaching creativity, a case study in an international school. So after review this thesis proposal, I think the topic is already quite interesting and important, especially because we focus on teaching creativity in international school, which is still a relatively unexplored area. That's definitely a strong point. So, however, there are a few things I think will be first. The research gap is not clearly stated, and it will be stronger if you could clearly explain what past research has not covered and how your study aims to fill that specific gap. That way, your research will have a more solid foundation and clear contribution. And then, in terms of reference, I noticed there are not enough citation overall, and many of the ones that are used are quite outdated. I will recommend adding a more recent source from the last 8 to 10 years to support your argument and show that the topic is still relevant today. So, yep. And then in terms of reference, then in chapter 2, some parts feel a bit too long or overly detailed, especially the example the start to overshadow the core theoretical discussion. So maybe try to short or summarize those a bit to keep the focus clear. And another thing is the conceptual framework. I couldn't find it in the thesis proposal. I think adding a visual or writing framework would really help clarify the relationship between your key variables and guide your analysis later on. And finally, the structure of the concept of the chapter could be more aligned with standard academic guidelines. For example, in chapter 3. For example, in chapter 3, could be more clearly organized into subheading like research design, participants, instrument, and data analysis. I would suggest checking back with the university's thesis writing guide to make sure each section covers what's expanded. Maybe that's all. So I give back to Mas Nanti.
Then thank you, Mbak Putri. And I assume that there's no any question. No question, right? Yeah. So now we move to the last presenter. Mbak Putri, are you ready to present your proposal?
10 minutes.
Yeah. So Mbak Putri, you have only 10 minutes to present your proposal, and after that, be followed by the peer review section. Mbak Putri, are you ready? Kok menghilang, Bang? Loh. Okay, Mbak Putri, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay,
Sorry.
Mbak Putri, 10 minutes starts from now.
Okay. Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my thesis proposal. Today I will share my study and the title Exploring University Students' Perception and Practice in Using ChatGPT for EFL Academic Writing. Okay, background of the study. In recent years, the role of digital technology has widely expanded into the field of education. One of the most prominent tools is ChatGPT. Developed by OpenAI, this AI-powered tool can assist users in generating text, refining grammar, and paraphrase ideas, and even organizing essay, making it particularly attractive for university students. However, alongside its growing use, there are also challenges and concerns. Some students use ChatGPT responsibly to improve their writing, while others may overrely on it, copying full text, which risks plagiarism and weakness their critical thinking. According to recent studies like Hossein and Wang, the use of ChatGPT is increasing, yet research focusing specifically on how students perceive and practice using ChatGPT in EFL writing remains limited. Okay. Identification of the problem. There are 4 key issues that form the basis of this research. For the first, students show the first perception toward the use of ChatGPT in academic writing, while some consider it and others are concerned about potential negative impact such as plagiarism and reduced critical thinking. And the second, the way students use ChatGPT are inconsistent. Some use it for brainstorming or refining their draft, while others rely on it heavily, even copying content without making critical reflections. And the third, there is a lack of critical awareness about the limitation and ethical risks of ChatGPT, including the accuracy of its context, the reliability of source, and academic honesty concern. And lastly, despite its growing use, the there is still limited research specifically focused on how EFL students perceive and actually engage with ChatGPT in academic writing tasks. And this study has several clear limitations that define its focus. First, it focuses specifically on student perception and practice in using ChatGPT, not on learning outcomes or performance improvements. And the second, the study looked at how students use ChatGPT for activities like generating ideas, organizing context, and or improving grammar, all within the context of EFL academic writing. And the third, this research does not evaluate the effectiveness of ChatGPT or compare it with traditional writing methods. So it doesn't aim to test whether one method is better than another. And lastly, the scope is limited to ChatGPT only. It does not explore other AI tools, and it does not cover other language skills such as speaking, listening, or reading. And the main objective of this study is to explore how university students perceive and use ChatGPT in the context of EFL academic writing. Significance of this study carries both theoretical and practical significance. Theoretically, it contributes to the body of research related to the use of AI tools, especially ChatGPT in EFL academic writing. It also provides insight into student perception and real-life practice, which are still underexplored in the student literature. And practically, the study may benefit several groups. For students and teachers. It can promote more responsible and reflective use of ChatGPT in academic writing. For researchers, the findings may serve as a useful reference for further studies on AI and EFL learning. And now moving on to the theoretical review of this study. Firstly, artificial intelligence. AI, or artificial intelligence, is a branch of computer science that enables machines to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. According to Russell and Norvig, AI can be classified into several types: rule-based system, which follow predefined rules; expert system, which mimic human decision-making in specific fields; machine learning, which allows system to learn from the data; and artificial neural network, inspired by the human brain; and AI in robotics, where AI support robots to interact and act in real environments. So now let's look at how AI tools are actually used in EFL writing. AI technologies offer more personalized and efficient support for students, especially through tools like Intelligent Tutoring System, or ITS. The system works almost like a private tutor, giving a real-time feedback and helping students focus on their specific writing challenges. And we also have automated writing evaluation tools like Grammarly and Criterions. These are especially useful for improving grammar, sentence structure, and coherence. In addition, speech recognition tools like Google Translate and SpeechLink also support writing indirectly by improving vocabulary use, accuracy, and even pronunciation. And altogether, this AI tool create a more customized and supportive writing environment, something that's often difficult to achieve in a traditional classroom setting. And in terms of academic outcomes, AI has shown a strong positive impact, especially in EFL writing. AI tool helps students improve their grammar, vocabulary, and overall writing structure by offering real-time feedback and personalized learning experience. For example, research by Xu and Wang found that students who use AI tools perform significantly better than those using conventional writing methods. And another key benefit is that AI allows students to learn at their own pace. It adjusts material based on each student's strength and weakness, making learning more focused and effective. However, it's important to not some challenges. Not all students have equal access to AA tool, especially in underdeveloped regions. We move to the next slide. Definition of perception and practice. The perception refers to how individuals interpret and give meaning to what they experience through their sense. It is shaped by personal belief and can differ from person to person, meaning that even when facing the same situation, people may respond or judge differently. And practice, on the other hand, is the actual implementation of knowledge or theory into real action, but not all perception directly led to practice. Is often depends on external factor like available resource or motivation. And academic writing. Academic writing is a formal instructor type of writing that is commonly used in higher education and scholarly publication. This type of writing is used in assignment like research paper, thesis, dissertation, and journal article. Academic writing follows strict rules, including the use of formal language, clear structure, and proper reference. And relevant studies. Several previous studies have explored the integration of AI in academic writing, particularly in EFL context. Hossein focused on AI literacy among Turkish EFL students, examining their familiarity with AI tools, their understanding and ethical perception in the context of academic writing. And Wang studied the use of ChatGPT in L2 writing class and introduced the APSE models, which explain students' critical AI literacy through dimensions such as awareness, positionality, strategy, and evaluation. And Winarti investigate EFL student perception and challenges in using AI for writing thesis proposal, especially within Indonesian higher education. And this is the conceptual framework. For this study, I use a descriptive qualitative research design, which is appropriate for exploring real experience and personal perspectives. And the main goal is to understand how students perceive and use ChatGPT in their AFL academic writing, including how to apply it and what concern or benefit they associate with it. And the participants in this study were undergraduate students from the English Education Department at Win Araniri, Banda Aceh. They were selected using purposive sampling, which means intentionally choose students who had experience using ChatGPT for academic writing, such as an essays, report, or assignment. And the total number of participants was 50 students. And the last slide. For this research, I used a semi-structured interview grade as the main instrument. This allowed me to explore student experience and opinion in depth while still focusing on key terms, such as how they use ChatGPT, their views on its benefit and ethical concern. And the data were collected through individual interview conducted either face-to-face or online, depending on participant availability. Each interval lasts around 20 to 30 minutes and was recorded with consent. The interview provides rich personal insight into student actual practice. For data analysis, I applied thematic analysis, which helped me identify recurring terms and patterns across the interview response. The process followed Brown and Clark 2006 framework from coding the transcript to developing meaningful terms that reflect student perception and use of ChatGPT in every academic writing. Maybe and this is the reference. Maybe that's all from me. I give back to Mas Hengki.
All right, then thank you, Mbak Putri Elia. So we move to the next section, peer review, and Mbak Putri's proposal is reviewed by Mbak Ajeng. Mbak Ajeng, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mas Hengki. Here, I reviewed Mbak Putri's article. Without any further ado, I will start from the first statement here. Okay, so the background of the study. Sorry, I will move this here. The definition is and its component can be stated more explicitly in the early part of the background. The concept emerges as a solution, but what is actually meant by critical AI literacy in the context of this research needs to be clarified. Will this research adopt or adapt an existing framework, or is it aimed at exploring, defining its component itself? Clarifying the core concept at the start will help the readers maybe understand the theoretical foundation of the study from the outset. For example, you might state a critical AI literacy in this study refers to blah, 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 which includes the ability to the component 1 and then the component 2, also the component 3 and so on. And particularly in the context of EFL academic writing itself. The next is here. The transition from the general challenges of using AI to the specific need for critical AI literacy can be strengthened. Why is the focus on critical literacy rather than just AI literacy in general? Also, the identification of the problem. Some points, for example, lack of understanding of AI's capabilities and limitations over lines on AI are still general. It is necessary to more explicitly connect to how these issues manifest specifically in the context of academic writing for EFL students. Also here, limitation the problem, the need to develop student critical AI literacy to effectively and ethically navigate the complexities of AI in academic writing sounds more like a goal or justification for the research rather than an existing problem in the field. So I think for the reference only, wait, oh here. Okay, the perception and practice. Perception and practices are still general. They need to be more directly to connect to the context of the study. How do students' perception of AI tools specifically influence their practices in using AI for EFL academic writing? This connection is also implicit and needs to be explicit. And the last is here. For the format and citation, ada beberapa hal yang perlu diperhatikan untuk jurnal yang tidak dicetak miring. Kemudian referensi mencantumkan 2025 sebagai tahun publikasi. Mungkin bisa dibilang tidak lazim kecuali jika artikel tersebut berstatus in press dan sudah dikonfirmasi untuk terbit pada 2025. Oke, thank you. I will give back to Mas Hengki.
All right, then. Thank you, Mbak Ajeng. And now it's time for Nuni to give feedback for the last two presenters. And Nuni, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I have 10 minutes, yeah, for the feedback for the two presenters. Now let me start with the first one, Mbak Ayu, yeah. Mbak Ajeng Ayu Nur Latifah. The title of the proposal is The Role of Facilities and Teacher Quality in Enhancing Teacher Creativity, a Case in International Schools. Can you hear me, Mbak Ajeng?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. The positive sides on the strengths of your proposal is that, yes, the topic is relevant to the issue of global educational trends, yeah, and also international education settings. It is also up to date, yeah. And then looking at the organization and the structure of your proposal, I think it's well structured. You follow a logical academic format, and then you have the fact that each chapter, each section flows clearly, yeah, and builds upon the previous one. And then in chapter 2, you also have an extensive literature review to incorporate foundational and also contemporary sources across creativity and then teacher quality. You also talk about facilities and not to forget the educational environments. And you also highlight the integration of the theories such as constructivism, Maslow, Bandura, self-determination, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. And then your objectives and questions align well and they are clearly stated, yeah. And then the method you use some techniques, yeah. Okay, and then you also use relevant data collection tools like interviews, surveys, observation, and also data analysis strategies, yeah, using thematic and statistical. All right, that's good. But you have some points to improve, yeah, Mbak Ajeng. The first one is about overwriting and redundancy. Yeah, so it's not only for Mbak Ajeng, yeah, but also for everyone. Yeah. So for example, when especially in your introduction and literature review, yeah, you repeat the same concepts. Yeah. Yeah. So would you please use slightly different wording? You need to paraphrase, yeah. So my suggestion is that you eliminate repetitive explanations. Jadi kayak diulang-ulang gitu ya. And yeah, so consider summarizing similar ideas into thematic paragraphs ya. Jadi di atas disebut, di bawah disebut lagi, ya. And then you are not consistent with some terms like teaching creativity or creative teaching. Different, yeah, different meaning ya Mbak ya. So would you please clarify? Yeah. And then yeah, so this is very urgent for a case study like what you are planning to do. You are doing a case study. Yeah, it's a qualitative research. Yeah. You must be very clear with the rationale, the reason for selecting international schools. Why in this particular international schools are chosen is missing. So the reason, jadi alasannya kenapa diangkat jadi case itu nggak ada. Oke. Jadi kenapa sekolah internasional? Ya, kenapa sekolah-sekolah itu? Ini nggak boleh hilang, Mbak. Kalau this is a case study, ya research. Is that clear, Mbak? So you need to add a paragraph, maybe one or two, explaining, ya, explaining the site selection criteria. Jadi setiap Anda mau memilih kasus sebagai diangkat menjadi sebuah case study itu harus ada kriterianya. Or at least you justify the relevance ya to the research focus gitu. Ya. There must be a very strong reason for choosing this school as a case. Itu yang nggak boleh hilang ya Mbak ya. Is it clear?
Clear. Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, and then the data analysis section is mixed. Yeah, sometimes qualitative methods are explained, sometimes quantitative. You do not have a clear distinction of what kind of data is analyzed by using this, what data is analyzed by using that. Yeah. So campur-campur Mbak, nggak jelas data mana yang akan diolah dengan secara kualitatif, data mana yang akan diolah secara kuantitatif gitu. Mungkin Anda akan bertanya, kan boleh, Mem, ada mixed method ya. Iya, tapi mixed method itu nggak mencampur begitu saja. Mixed method itu kan harus dilihat kuantitatif dulu apa kualitatif dulu. Kualitatif dulu apa kuantitatif dulu. Jadi nggak nyampur gitu ya. Karena ada sequential ya. Kan tipe-tipe mixed method kan ada ya. Nah, itu harus ngikutin itu. Nyampurnya boleh, tapi harus ada iya, ada kriterianya mencampurnya. Ini masih campur-campur yang belum belum apa ya? Karena ini kan Anda mau pakai apa ya? Case study kan? Bukan mixed method ya, Mbak ya, beda ya.
No, qualitative study.
Iya. Case study kan masuk kualitatif. tapi Anda menganalisis datanya masih nyampur gitu ya. Oke.
Ya, Ma'am.
Lalu iya, format-format diperhatikan ya Mbak ya, citasinya, fontnya ya. Ya, jadi untuk minor revision di abstrak ini masih ada beberapa yang hilang, walaupun ya nanti dicek lagi ya. Kemudian chapter 2 itu banyak overlapping sentences ya di opening paragraphs. Ya, kemudian di chapter 2 relevant examples in contemporary education ini tolong diubah ke apa? Ke tabel atau kotak gitu ya supaya mudah dibaca.
Oke. Oke, Ma'am.
Kemudian di chapter 3 Anda juga harus ini case study itu sendiri kan jenisnya ada macam-macam ya. Ada single, ada multiple. Ya, kalau single kan memang cuma satu sekolah internasional. Tapi kalau sekolah internasional A, sekolah internasional B, C, nah itu namanya multiple case studies. Jadi gini teman-teman, semuanya ini. Jadi kalau multiple case study itu berarti Anda membandingkan, ya kan? Pembandingan. Jadi gini. Jadi sejak sekarang ya, untuk Anda tidak berlama di sini, tadi yang sudah saya jelaskan di awal, permasalahannya jelas dulu, ya. Kemudian untuk dibuat pertanyaan penelitian atau pertanyaan risetnya. Kemudian pertanyaan ini bisa dijawab dengan metode apa? Ini nggak boleh salah, ya, nggak boleh salah. Nanti kalau salah mengawinkan tadi atau kawin paksa tadi, nanti berantakan. Nanti cerai di akhir. Cerai itu artinya apa? Anda harus ngulang lagi, gitu kan? Jadi, oke, sudah mantap nih, udah bener case study, udah bener classroom action research, udah bener fenomenologi, udah bener eksperimen dan seterusnya. So, it's time for us to focus on that type of research only. Setelah itu, jangan langsung hantam ambil data gitu ya, bukan. Pahami dulu. Oke, saya ini udah bener kok pakai case study. Oke, it's okay ya. Tapi setelah itu pelajari banyak hal tentang case study untuk menentukan langkah selanjutnya. Case study saya itu yang single atau yang multiple ya. Kemudian bagaimana saya mengkategorikannya. Kemudian em, saya harus ambil sampel nggak sih? Ya, itu kan pasti pertanyaan begitu ya. Oke. Gimana saya milihnya? Kemudian nanti instrumennya, teknik data yang harus cari itu, yang harus saya cari itu apa? Cara mengumpulkannya bagaimana? Kalau sudah terkumpul, saya menganalisisnya bagaimana? Itu udah nggak usah lihat jenis penelitian yang lain. Kalau Anda sudah menjatuhkan pilihan pada satu tertentu yang memang sudah sesuai. Jadi Anda akan menjadi pakar di riset itu, di tipe riset itu. Untuk sementara nggak usah ambisius menguasai semua jenis riset. Ya saya kan Facebooka malu dong, masa nggak ngerti. Masa ngerti saya cuma car aja, mentang-mentang riset saya pakai car. Nggak apa-apa. Itu pertama ketika Anda lulus, itu ketika sidang, itu udah benar gitu loh. Jadi datanya yang nggak bias dan seterusnya. Setelah itu Anda harus mengembangkan diri. Nanti kan setelah itu kan bekerja dan seterusnya ya. Kemudian Anda akan meneliti. Silahkan menggunakan metode penelitian yang lain, belajar lagi. Tapi sekarang realistis, tidak ambisius, tapi tujuan tercapai dengan target yang jelas. Oke. Jadi sekarang yang memilih car, ya udah, tiap hari bacanya car gitu. Baca banyak penelitian yang menggunakan CAR. Pelajari semua prinsip-prinsip CAR. Berapa cycle sih seharusnya adakan? Kemudian dan udah pokoknya day and night is about CAR. Itu. Jadi Anda paham betul. Ya. Tapi kalau mau yang lain, sementara nggak usah tengok-tengok dulu ke kalau fenomenologi gimana ya, kalau case tadi gimana, udah nggak usah. Itu nanti aja kalau sudah selesai tesisnya, boleh mengembangkan dulu. Ya, itu ya Mbak Ajeng ya. Tolong diperbaiki. Harus clear dulu begitu.
Siap.
Oke, Mbak Ajeng.
Ma'am.
Oke. Ya, kita namanya cita-cita boleh ya. Cita-cita paham semua jenis riset itu memang inginnya kita begitu. Saya pun juga demikian, gitu ya. Saya pun juga ketika lulus S1 ya tahunya cuman yang saya pakai itu. Habis itu ketika S2 eh, mungkin risetnya masih sama tapi saya lebih paham. S3 pakai yang lain. Jadi seperti itu, ya. Sekarang kita kita langkahnya jangan terlalu lebar, Mbak, ya. Semuanya juga ya. Langkahnya kecil-kecil nggak apa-apa tapi pasti gitu, nyampe ke tujuan. Oke. Ya, berikutnya Mbak Putri ya, Mbak Putri Developing Critical AI Literacy and EFL Writing, Exploring University Students Perception and Practices, khususnya di di AI Assisted. Oke. Bagus sih, jadi subjeknya sangat up to date sekarang kan, critical AI literacy ya. Ya, ini Anda mengkhususkan penggunaan ChatGPT academic writing. Oke, sekarang sih memang relevan ya, baik itu secara pedagogi maupun teknologi. Anda juga memiliki, you have strong rational, you have a strong background ya in your chapter 1. Your research focus is also very clear. The objectives and the questions are well aligned and well formulated, yeah. And then in your chapter 2, you include the discussions on types of, so many things about AI, yeah, and also academic writing. And then you also have relevant theoretical support, good. And then research methodology, okay, you use descriptive qualitative approach, yeah. And then you use semi-structured interviews, thematic analysis, ya. Ini ketika mau ini memilih kualitatif deskriptif ya. Oke, ya udah didalemin ini gitu ya. Tidak usah ke jenis riset yang lain dulu. But then Mbak Putri, you still have some areas to improve ya. And the first is judulnya kepanjangan Mbak. Bukannya nggak boleh sih, cuman mengaburkan pemahaman ya. Ya, mengaburkan pemahaman. Jadi mungkin di-revise menjadi misalnya Critical AI Literacy and EFL Writing. Ya, titik 2. University Students Perception and Practices of ChatGPT Use gitu kan lebih enak ya, Mbak Putri ya.
Can you repeat, ma'am?
Critical AI Literacy in EFL Writing. Titik 2. University Students Perceptions and Practices of ChatGPT Use ya. Oke, jadi kan lebih jelas nih keywords-nya apa. And then ya sama dengan yang lain ya masih banyak repetitif ngulang-ulang udah dijelasin lagi. Dan bagian-bagian yang wordy itu apa? Wordy. Kebanyakan kata-kata tapi ya sebetulnya yang diomongin sedikit gitu. Effective sentences ya. Jadi saran saya eliminate redundancy, kemudian ya, tulisannya lebih analitis ya, tidak hanya deskriptif ya. Ini sekarang sudah di S2. Language-nya sama dengan yang lain, revise for clarity, coherence ya. Kemudian pakai tone-nya akademik ya, bukan conversation, bukan spoken. Kemudian formal ya, juga menggunakan third person. Ya, third person kata gantinya. Kemudian conceptual framework itu butuh ini Mbak diagram lah begitu ya, tidak hanya penjelasan sebagai bentuk visual. Tolong diagram dibuat yang mengilustrasikan hubungan antar konsep, hubungan antara AI use, perception, practices, and academic outcomes ya. Tapi jangan lupa penjelasannya ya, tetap dipertahankan penjelasannya tapi tambahkan diagram. Di chapter 2 overuse of subsections ya Mbak ya, jadi diulang-ulang, tolong dicek lagi ya. And then hypothesis section. Kok di table of contents ada hipotesis tapi di konten nggak ada ya? Ya ini kan Anda tidak harus hipotesis kan, kalau kualitatif kan tidak berhipotesis ya. Yang hipotesis itu kalau kuantitatif ya. Referensis yang terutama yang di mana, di in-text citation-nya diperbaiki lagi. Jadi, so in short, ya, the title must be simplified, and then the writing style, ya, because this is academic, so it must be what is it, formal, ya, nggak grammarnya nggak, jangan salah-salah, kalimatnya jangan boros-boros gitu ya. Kemudian dihindari redundancy, lalu ya seperti itu ya. Kemudian, oke, sebetulnya ini tolong dipertahankan topiknya karena sangat sesuai dengan kondisi sekarang ya. Oke, Mbak Putri. Ya. Semangat ya semuanya, masih punya waktu. Ini tanggal berapa ditagih sama Bu Jamila? Untuk sudah ada jadwal UAS. Udah. Ya sudah, berarti ini memang bulan ini 23 Juni. 23 Juni. Padahal 30 Juni itu kami deadline upload nilai ya. Jadi kayaknya besok ya. Ya, so please prepare your best. Lalu untuk besok itu jam pagi ya, 7.30 kah? Ya, jadi kalau belum fix ya didiskusikan dulu, nanti saya dikabari. Siapa aja, tolong saya diberi data siapa yang belum saya beri feedback. Oke, tolong. Ya, oke. Jadi saya bisa siapkan nanti malam untuk, jadi besok bisa lebih cepat. Karena ya Selasa. Oke ya, 7.30. Ya. Silakan nanti kalau ada perubahan waktu, saya dikabari. Kalau sore itu soalnya saya sudah ada janjian konsultasi ya. Jadi kalau pagi kan, terus udah selesai gitu ya. Kemudian untuk presensi hari ini ada yang nggak masuk?
Oh, okay. Actually, still have one students, Nadia Marissa. Nah, dia mengumpulkan tesis proposal sepertinya di cuman beliau tidak mau untuk presentasi.
Masuk di kelas kita besok juga? Oh, yang scientific writing enggak ya? Oh, masuk juga. Ya, karena hari ini sudah habis waktunya. Ya, nanti saya lihat, nanti saya beri feedback besok pagi sekalian. Gitu. Oke. Tapi masuk nggak hari ini? Tidak. Kemudian presensinya nanti saya manual sendiri aja ya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oke, thank you. Sudah lebih 8 menit, pasti sudah sangat lapar. Oke,
Ma'am,
thank you
excuse
and
me,
see
ma'am.
you tomorrow ya. Saya diupdate infonya besok ya. Let me leave Zoom. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you Mbak, Mas. Thank you semuanya.
Thank you semuanya.